Tom and Liz are not going to make it. I think everybody else is online. Whoops.
All right, everybody, I think we'll get started. 4:30. Brian, can you do roll call?
Lance,
Here.
Commissioner Petty. Here. Commissioner Kinzer.
Here.
Ross.
Here.
Commissioner Pa.
Here.
And Commissioners Rock and Milky are absent.
Okay, we have a quorum. I just want to double check everything has been noticed correctly in the time frames it needs to be. All right, and also want to remind the commissioners, if you've had any ex parte communications or any conflicts of interest with any of the various agenda items, please let us know at the time of that item. And it looks like we did not get the minutes to be able to review, so we will skip over that item. And first item is a preliminary development plan review for pre-app for a 2406 conditional use permit for 155 South Sampson Trail. I'm not sure who we have here presently. You have to let us know. If you just,
Can you go?
Yeah.
My name is LeGrand Bennett. I reside at 1610 Fore Avenue in McCall. And I'm presenting a pre-app for a conditional use permit for the McCall Funeral Home to install a crematorium appliance in the existing garage or the existing funeral chapel. The pre-application is required for a CUP. Then I don't know if staff is going to elaborate on this. Would you like me to explain why we're submitting for a CUP? So the existing location of the property, a funeral home is not a permitted or a conditionally permitted use in that R1 zoning. So at staff's direction, we are applying for a conditional use permit for this particular project. Even though there isn't a conditional permit allowed in that zone. So this pre-application is the first step in the conditional use permit process.
all right. Well, I know it's been there a long time, but how long has the current funeral home been there?
When I did looking at the plans, I believe since 1978.
Okay, about right. So they haven't had any type of crematorium there prior there.
No, they have not.
Okay.
It's just a chapel and a garage and a display area in the basement.
So the zoning came in after the funeral home was already there.
Well, in 2006, we had a completely reworked the city and the zoning. So I'd imagine in 2006 is when the use became non-conforming and not allowed. But I don't know what existed prior to that.
There's no expansion of the buildings. It's just using the inside of the garage.
So it's an appliance.
Yeah.
So much like a spray booth appliance in a cabinet shop or a painting. Western Collision has an appliance where whatever you're doing inside of there is whatever emissions and particulates that are exhausted from that are contained within the appliance itself.
Okay.
So.
And again, no expansion of the buildings.
No,
It's all going to fit in with what they currently have.
No, the
Or-
only expansions, I guess, that you could refer to would be a approximately 2 foot by 2 foot intake grill on the exterior wall of the building because it's going into an existing garage. And then a ventilation system at the roof.
Okay, but not really expanding the footprint on the building.
No, there's no remodels, additions, there's nothing proposed. There's no site work. There's nothing that increases the nonconformity of the existing structure.
Is there any odor or particulates that are emitted from the machine itself?
I don't know. because we are in the very, very preliminary phase of all of this. Mr. Carver, who runs McCall Funeral Home, might be able to elaborate, but at this point in time, I do not. I'm sure as we get into the process, we're going to need to provide some sort of, analytics on the appliance as far as like what the noise is. Are there any particulates emitted? How does that compare to, say, a wood stove or a propane furnace or whatever else might be similar? So
We just don't know now if there is any at all.
I don't know. No, this is the very first part of the process.
Okay.
Now, that would be obviously good to have as we move forward. I know it's a little bit different since it's been there for so long, but I guess that is the conditional use process to be able to do that. Any other questions for the applicant? Dana, Ryan, any questions? They're just online.
None for me.
None for me.
Okay, we'll just say continue working with staff and through the process and we'll.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, then we'll move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that anybody would like to have pulled off and address individually?
We don't have any.
No, they all seem pretty standard. There is none. I'm open for a motion.
We make a motion, we accept the consent agenda, would that be right? Or as is?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed? Hearing none, motion is approved. And consent agenda is approved. Okay, moving on to old business. We got PUD 2304, subdivision 2303 for 501 First Street. I make a motion that we open the public hearing.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. And we have,
Microphone is somewhere around here.
You're talking.
let's talk
All right.
about,
Very good.
enough.
Derek Kerner, 9175 West Black Eagle Drive, project engineer. And commissioners, thanks for having us back. At our last meeting, takeaways from our last meeting was that there were still some improvements to be made. Still some room left for improvement. We reviewed our meeting notes and that has indicated that we should remove a couple units. We should widen the road easement to eliminate that alleviation. We should widen the western lots along the pathway and have no alleviations for those lots. I'm reading from an email that I sent to Brian that really well describes what the pre-plat in front of you is all about. The revised layout contains a reduction of 2 dwelling units and transitions toward a more townhome-centric theme. The lots along the pathway are now 50 feet wide. They have double wide garage doors and 100% code compliant. Even the half building height rule will be adhered to. The first floor will respect a 5-foot setback, while the second floor will respect a 10-foot setback. You can see the outline of the second story that's 30 feet wide, inset into the outline of the first story, which is 40 feet wide. The eave of the first story would be 10 feet tall, and the eave of the second story would be 20 feet tall. I'm just describing that half building height rule and how it works. Besides the pathway lots, all remaining dwelling units on the project would be townhomes. Townhomes are configured into buildings of 2plexes, 3plexes, 4plexes, and 5plexes. This would be a 0 lot line development, which is allowed by code. The gap between townhomes, the townhome building is quite large and compliant with the half building height rule. The 0 lot line development, the 0 lot lines are exempt from the half building height rule. We did carve the 60-foot private road easement through the development, so that is no longer an issue. The only alleviation that we can see needing to ask for, and I'd ask Brian if we need to ask for it, which is the the frontage lot width for townhomes. Because townhomes are allowed by code, just wanted on the record, we're asking for alleviation lot width. townhome product. The code allows for zero lot line developments. I already said that. All townhomes will have compliant single wide garage doors. Lastly, we lost one additional medium quality tree and we gained one additional high quality tree with this revised layout. Reviewed the staff report and the conditions of approval. We have no issues with those. With that, I would stand with any questions. Mr. Hope is the requesting recommend approval of this pre-plat for you.
When you talk about common area of 100,000 square feet, what do you count as common area? Buildings?
Common area would be things, this lot number 43 encompasses everything that is not in a residential lot. And so, but in that is also roads. So your common area, you're taking out the road areas and you're talking about open areas, pathways would count. But basically everything that isn't a residential lot and then also minus the roadways.
So also the 3/4 you're not going to build on, correct?
Correct, open space.
So what would be the actual common area if you subtracted that portion that you're not going to build on?
I could do some quick math. I just maybe
It'd
zoom
be-
in on these.
My guess is it'd be below the 5,000 square feet required, right?
So the 5,000 square foot is a minimum lot size requirement, not an open space, right?
Correct. But you're using all of that common area to get your average lot size.
That is correct. 6 acre project site. But that's never really been an issue. Even when we had more lots, the math was on our side. And so.
There were just so many other things to look at.
Yeah.
This one came up this time.
Well, how many units are we at now? Just to confirm.
42. And the breakdown is 10 single-family detached homes, 50-foot wide along the pathway. The remainder, 32 being townhomes. And those are all, there's not a single detached freestanding one. It's duplexes, threeplexes, one fourplex, and then it looks like 3 plexes.
Wasn't there an issue with the upper right-hand corner there with that area as far as the sidewalk was concerned that,
Right up here.
yeah,
So we'll just have the public sidewalk along First Street, but I believe there was an issue with it.
can't remember exactly what.
Wasn't it swale or something?
Yeah, I think you're right, Robert. It was a swale or something.
Yeah, we've got a really big bar ditch at the request of the city that of course could be used for snow storage. And then we've got 12 feet behind the sidewalk that's really only dedicated for snow of the sidewalk because we'll handle all of our snow somewhere else into private snow storage.
Is that enough to cover the snow on the sidewalk? You got plenty of room to do that?
Yeah. And these right here, like this is actually wider than what you would need for 3plexes, but it's not wide enough for a 4plex. So it's a we got room to spare for a 3plex.
So you talk about a 60-foot easement, but are your roads wider now?
Roads are no wider.
So you're still only
Yeah,
20.
they're 24 feet wide and then they widen to 26 feet in front of the fire hydrants.
So that 60-foot easement is
It's more of
relevant
a,
as far as the roads, right?
I think I heard you right, but it's to eliminate the deviation because it was, we just thought it'd be best this way. It's doesn't matter if we do, doesn't matter if we don't for us physically on the ground, planning wise. It's just, this is the cleaner way to do it and tell you that there's no alleviation for it.
True, but if there were wider roads, we wouldn't worry so much about people parking on the streets, probably.
The driveway depth does remain exactly the same as before. We had the 21s and the 22s depth for the driveways.
Commissioners, any other questions for Derek at this time? Okay. Brian, staff report.
Thank you, Chairman Lyons, Vice President Planner. This one has been in front of you guys 4 times now. This is PUD 2304 and subdivision 2303. This is the 4th time, starting in March, then May, then June. Now we're into August, and then is the recommendation to City Council, so that will be coming at a later date. You've opened public hearing, heard from the applicants. Me and Morgan next, and then public comments, more information. Close public hearing, deliberate, and make a recommendation. So as discussed by the applicant, this is a 42 residential unit development, 10 detached single family units, 2 duplexes, 3 triplexes, 1 fourplex, 3 fiveplexes, and then breaking this down by deed restriction typology, I guess. There are 5 local housing units proposed, 22 units would have a prohibition on short-term rentals within them, and then the other 15 would be. So in order to grant approval, you have to meet the following findings. If you want to follow along, page 121 of meeting packets or page 30 of your staff report. To grant plan unit development approval, you must find the underlying zoning is met, except for specifically requested by the PUD. The proposed uses shall not be detrimental to present and potential future surrounding uses. Health, safety, public welfare. Development shall be considered in substantial conformity to the underlying density. Then the basic zone deviations must be warranted by design and amendments incorporated into the final development plan. As discussed, they've eliminated pretty much everything except for the street right of way width, which I want to get into a little bit. The preliminary plat identifies a 60-foot swath between building facades that would qualify as the right of way width. What you typically see is that the setback would then start from there. And so you'd have 60 feet of right of way and then 15 to 20, 25, 30, depending on the zone, feet between from that point where the building stands. So it will, effectively, they're either going to have a alleviation in 60-foot setback or front yard setback. That way, I think, the street by itself, the roadway width is 22. And the variations from basic zone requirements must be warranted by design amendments incorporated into the preliminary final development plan. They're proposing a gym, benches, and bicycle repair station, 1 pet path, 1 pickleball court now instead of 2, and then the retaining walls as discussed in previous meetings. The planned unit development must meet the general objectives of the McCall Area Comprehensive Plan. The existing and proposed streets and utility services must be suitable and adequate for the proposed development. Development agreement is required, and a PUD being proposed in conjunction with zoning map and comp plan amendment, which we're not doing. So then we'll move on to the subdivision review standards. You must find the proposed plat consistent with general and specific plans as specified in Title 3 and Title 9 and the comprehensive plan. The design and improvements of the proposed subdivision not consistent with applicable general and specific plans. The site is not physically suitable for the type of development. This one, there's pretty good topography on the site, and there is quite a bit of grading they'll be required to make the plans fit. And similarly, both density of development, I tried to kind of get into this a little bit in the staff report. If they just consider the parks to the north of the main toe of the slope drops down significantly, they're like 1 unit over the R8 zone density. And that is a very, very unscientific attempt at quantifying this, and by no means does it account for the design of the individual buildings that used or the mix of housing types and things like that. Obviously, get more apartments and different building types and things like that to fit more things in without necessarily using more land. So the plans for the subdivision or proposed improvements are likely to cause environmental damage. They've done a good job of working on our trees and making sure the natural features have been accounted for as much as they can. There still is quite a bit of grading proposed, discussed. The design subdivision is likely to cause serious health problems. No easements are proposed to be impacted. And the subdivision is generally in compliance with other city and county laws. With that, I'll stand for any questions.
In your unscientific analysis, you're saying if they use just a little bit of acre to the south, 42 billion, better?
I do not think using the land to the south off the very steep hill is a good idea.
Even with all the other grading that is gonna go on.
Yeah, I mean, to get down there in a safe and fire truck accessible manner would require probably a kind of zigzaggy switchback down the hill. And it makes much more sense to use the terrain that is easily accessible.
Brian, I got a couple questions for you. Kind of building off that last one from Commissioner Petty. I believe I reviewed in the staff report that the reduction of the actual buildable or the non-buildable area results in about 39 units instead of the proposed 42. Is that correct?
Yeah, again, if you assume homogeneous buildings, homogeneous lots, that would probably be a fairly accurate analysis, but as discussed, there are many ways to make things fit and be compatible with the land available.
Okay. And then the second one that I had for you was kind of the same as Commissioner Petty's earlier question. In the calculation of the 5,000 square foot for the lot sizes, I guess just a correction, or how did they do that again? Were they using the common area in that or not? In that
There is
calculation?
a formula in code in 3.308 that allows counting common area and right away that would be dedicated to the public, which they're proposing in this to dedicate an additional 30 feet right away for the first street to widen the public road right away associated with that. All of that gets to count in the overall density and lot size average.
Okay, so that's not necessarily an issue then,
Yeah,
or needing. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
So they didn't include the updated elevations, correct?
no, they did not.
We don't know quite what the buildings are gonna look like.
It's a concern of mine that there are a lot of different things that they can do to make it feel more open, more less cramped in there, and without building elevations, I don't have a sense of what the actual like on the ground feel would be.
So all we have is that overhead map.
Yes.
You're saying without elevations, you can't get an idea of what the buildings will look like, or?
Yeah, we don't know what the buildings would look like at this point. They've not provided updated elevations.
Okay.
A little tricky to do without being able to see.
Mhm. I wondered about that.
Agreed.
Any other questions for Brian at this time?
I do have another question. I guess this is probably a good time to ask. I'm wondering if Mr. Punkany would mind commenting on the letter that we received from the applicant's project manager.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, Bill Punkany, City Attorney, White Peterson. I presume we're referencing the email from Darren Taylor that basically identified the County of Boise versus ICRIMP. And it had to do with the litigation that occurred. And I apologize for looking off screen, but I'm looking at my other computer screen here. The Alomar Ranch proposed development from back in 2008. Look, it's difficult for me to be polite about this. I thought that email was totally out of line. I don't think that there are any similarities between the way that we have handled the current application and the lawsuit that was referenced. And just to name a few, there's no Fair Housing Act elements here or any claim that this board has discriminated against anyone on the basis of disability. That application was for a CUP. This is for a PUD and a subdivision. That application involved a 72-bed residential treatment facility. I haven't seen that in any of the application materials presented to us. The Planning and Zoning Commission and the county ignored their own ordinances. And this commission does a very good job of taking notice of our own ordinances and applying those to every application, including the instant application. None of those elements that I identified are present here. I don't think that there is any significant risk of a situation like was referenced in that email. Any questions?
Nope. Thank you for explaining that.
You bet.
Any other questions for Brian or Bill before we go to Morgan in engineering? Okay, Morgan.
Well, Commissioners, nothing has really updated on my end. Most of my comments remain the same. The only thing that's really changed is the lot configurations. So most of my comments are still just final engineering approval type comments of finalizing the grading, drainage, and site planning, and some water line profiles. So I don't have anything else to add to this application at this time. Unless you have questions.
Oh, once again, on the elevations or square footages and stuff, does that affect anything that you need to see?
It won't change much on my end. I know I've asked the question when they first proposed, like the townhome product, if they needed firewalls, and they didn't from the fire department. They can do other measures, or if they needed sprinklers inside the building, and they can provide firewalls or other elements to avoid having to sprinkle the buildings. They'll have pressure, and they should have sufficient pressure from our modeling results for fire suppression after they make all their improvements. So I don't see any concerns at this point on my side.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions for Morgan? All right. With that, I think we'll go to our public comment. Yeah, I was just going to say, Brian, we got a list over there. Okay, we'll go to public comment. We want to remind everybody you have 3 minutes. If you can state your name and address. And if somebody before you says some of the same things, please don't copy that. Just say you agree with what comments are before you. We will start with who's online and on the phone. If you're online or on the phone and wish to comment, you may need to hit *6 to unmute yourself. But is there anybody online or on the phone that wishes to comment? Again, you may need to hit *6 to unmute yourself. Okay, is there anybody here in the audience that wishes to comment? Okay, sir.
This is Michael Walters, 505 North First Street.
Oh, but yeah. Okay, I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Sorry, my phone was cutting in and out. Yes, this is Michael Walters, 505 North First Street. I'm a neighbor directly across the street from this development. I've been on previous calls about this. Most of my concerns are still the same. Things like increased traffic, noise, light. I still am unclear how First Street redevelopment is going to affect my front yard. I still have concerns about the in lieu of park fees migrating value out of our direct neighborhood. I think I've voiced my opinion on this development before, and just from the discussion I heard earlier, it still sounds like there are still too many units relative to what could fit there. It sounded like there's grading concerns. I'm just hoping that the commission will look closely at this and decide whether or not this is suitable for that particular lot, which feels like it should support a lot more dwellings than are currently being proposed. That's about it. Thank you for your time.
Okay, great, thank you. Anybody else online or on the phone that wishes to comment regarding this application? Okay, now we'll go to the audience. Sorry about that.
It's not a problem. Flexible. My name is Steve Taylor. I'm accompanied here today to this meeting with my wife, Norma Jean Ayler, who's sitting there in the back. We fell in love with the city of McCall, and we purchased property and had a house constructed on Tim Street, 509 Tim Street. We used Rick Williams and Plantation Construction to construct this house. And I'm now going to give you our experience. We are going to, right now, we are in line to have to pay twice on some services to liens and bills due to pass the final occupancy inspection of the house. So bottom line, the contractor did not pay all his subs in the amount of $96,000. We have filed a lawsuit with the County of Valley, and that lawsuit is against Richard Williams and Plantation Construction. And it's public information. So I want to thank you again for giving my wife and I, Norma Jean, the time to come in here and talk to you about this, because we feel this is information that you need to have. Are there any questions for me?
We can't do questions if
Yeah.
there's a comment, so
Thank you.
thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience that wish to comment regarding this application? One last time, anybody else online or on the phone that wish to comment regarding this application? Okay, we'll close the public comment. Applicant, would you like to respond to what you said?
Elevation from previous. I have it in my pocket if first comes first. What I wanted to show you is just the elevations and the theme of what we're doing here, but really we want to get to a recommendation from approval from this body on what the overall feel and layout of this thing is, because we've done a lot of building renderings, but the theme is the same. The fiveplexes are unchanged except for the fact that we switched to single car garages. So I was just going to have him throw that up on the screen for everybody and the commissioners and say, yeah, that, but single car garages. And then that was that same fiveplex. Yep. Thank you. This was the previous submittal. And so single car garages, we're not asking for alleviations on the garages, so they have to be compliant, right? So with the width that we're talking about for those townhomes, they got to be single car garages. The dual wide garage door is allowed on the 50-foot wide single family homes, because we're getting into a product where there's no alleviations. It's more or less just like developing land and almost builder to suit, even though we are going to be building all those and we will have elevations eventually, but you're getting into a single family home product that we will provide those elevations. We just want to get to a recommendation that we will place with this body on what's that layout look like and how big are these things before we continue with that operation. But that is the look and the theme that you're going to get. Again, single car garage, and then you'll have pairs, 3-plexes, 4-plexes, and then 5-plex. But that's what we're looking at.
So with a single car garage, then the units themselves are narrower as well?
Nope, same size units. We didn't change the lot width on these, so you're just going to end up with reconfigured bottom floor with a tandem garage and single garage door width.
And as a deep?
Yes, yeah. Sorry, tandem as in two deep, but one width. And that's because.
When you say too deep, you mean, what do you mean? You can put 2 cars in there?
Yep, 2 cars in the garage. Yep.
Okay.
And the reason for that is to eliminate alleviation. Because of the lot width, we had to ask for an alleviation, and we just, since last meeting of this meeting, we're like, cut it out. And so we just said, we're going to go with single car garages all around for those townhomes. So that way we don't have to ask for the alleviation. That's the only reason.
We don't have any examples, obviously no examples of the single family. That's going to be, that's
Nope.
going to be the biggest difference.
Exactly. So the single family, it's a 50-foot wide lot, and it's going to have to comply with that half building height rule because we're not asking for an exception on that. So the first floor would be 5 feet off, 10 feet tall. And then the second floor would be offset even further in, 10 feet off the property line, 20 feet tall eave to comply with that half building height line. You remember the exhibit that he had in previous.
But you don't even have a drawing of those right now?
Nope. It's just fully compliant, so it'll have to comply. Instead of showing you how it does and then asking for an alleviation, we're saying no alleviations. It will comply 100%. And again, we will make those, just not now.
So we don't have anything to really vote on.
You just be looking at the building too. What we want from this body is a recommendation for approval.
So it's not going to look any different than this, you say?
Well, no, it'll be single family units.
It'll be single car garages instead of those doubles. So we don't really know what the front
No.
facade looks like.
And so it's going to look different than this, but you don't know what it's going to look like.
Correct.
So the 5-plex will look identical to this, except for instead of the 2-car wide garage, you'll have a single car wide garage in that image. And then the duplex, the duplexes, the 3-plexes, the 4-plexes will all be a version of that. And then the single family homes are a new product. We have not created an elevation for.
So the small little squares over there next to the double car garage, what are those? Are those stairs or?
Front doors.
Front, okay. I thought that was what it was. Okay. That won't change any then.
Nope, that's what we're wanting to do.
The new drawing, okay.
So I have a quick question. In our last meeting, one of the things we talked about was kind of reducing the density and making it consistent with the developable portions of the property. And you cut out, what was it, 2 units? Is that what you've cut out with this proposal?
Correct.
From the
It's
last.
Overall reduction of 2 units went from 44 to 42. And by going to 42, we've eliminated all of the alleviations except for one, which is we're doing townhomes. So I got to ask, do we even need to ask for it? But it is the lot width. Because 50 foot is the requirement. But when you do a townhome, you're not doing a 50-foot wide lot. But townhomes are allowed. So it's just not a code issue, but I would just ask for clarification. We just want it on the record in case we got to ask for it. We're going to ask for it, but I don't think you actually have to ask for it.
I guess isn't there the setback, as Brian mentioned, because you're doing the 60-foot street, so the actual right of way, so there's supposed to be a setback from the right of way.
There is
Going to be right at the right of way with the home, correct?
there's no setback to the road right away. Now it's what we have is from the back of the curb on our drive aisle, we have a driveway depth. that is the 21 to 22 feet, depending on the product that you got, whether how far back that garage door is set back. So we have full parking stall there, and then you're gonna have single car garage on all these, and you're gonna have tandem inside the garage. You're gonna have 3 parking stalls per building, just physical room.
But you need a setback from the right of way.
There's no right of way, so it's just a,
There's a
sorry.
right of way.
It's an easement, so it's an easement road right away, so the easement is 60 feet wide, and it basically goes to within a couple feet of the front of the home.
So you're parking cars on the driveway on the easement.
Yep, it's all within the easement. The easement is more or less for maintenance purposes of the road. Right? So they got a 24-foot roadway that they've got 60 feet, and it's an all-encompassing easement. It's got all the utilities thrown in there, because before we were just had a 24-foot road with a 24-foot easement for the road. And then you had, Idaho Power's easement behind that. And then you've got, actually that was it. So it's just a 60-foot wide, all encompassing utility, private road easement, private roads. So they just got 60 feet to maintain. And it made the most difference. It really didn't make a difference anywhere in the development. It made the most difference on the northern stub to Blackwell, where the homes before were too close together. They weren't 60 feet apart. The road went through, but they weren't 60 feet apart. And it was really kind of hurting us because we almost couldn't widen them enough. But none of that matters now because we have a pickleball court alone on the west side and then a 3-plex on the right side. And that 3-plex has plenty of wiggle room. Again, it's not big enough to put a 4-plex in, but it was big enough, plenty big enough for a 3-plex. And then all that exists on the left side now is a pickleball court. So the pickleball court got a little bit more open space around it, a little more grand area around there because there wasn't enough room to put a house.
So help me understand. So there's the 60-foot road easement and then 0 setback, correct?
I was gonna say, Brian, you got another
Correct.
picture.
Setbacks go to property lines. The property line is in the middle of the road. So setbacks, they go to property lines. So the setback for these lots is just 20 feet from the center line of the road, but you wouldn't build that close. You need to have an actual parking stall in front of the home. So that's why they're set back as far as they are. And again, you got the 21 and the 22-foot deep driveway depths. And you can see the dark dash line, that is the 60-foot propagated all the way through the development. It's only shown on the buildable lots. It disappears on the common lot because the common lot has a blanket utility easement for everything like this.
I'm confused on what those differences are. I know on a property I have to 20 feet off the road right away. So I feel like the easement describing doesn't do anything to alleviate those setback.
So you would, in your reality, I'll just call it, I would say you need to be, you have a 24-foot roadway and then you've got the 60-foot wide. So you got 30 feet from, well, half of 24 is 12. And then you got half of 60 is 30. And then you would say you'd want to be 20 feet further than that. So you'd want to be 50 feet from the center line of the road. I mean, that's the right of way of the highway.
So I guess that's where, we start with the 24-foot road is not 50 foot, which is
24-foot road, yep. Back to curb, 24 feet. And the right of way easement width is 60 feet. And we've made sure that exists, that works everywhere in the development. There was a pinch point here. It didn't take much to widen those buildings to make that work. And then the biggest part was up here. We had buildings right here, right? And now it's just a pickleball court. So we don't, the 60-foot fits through that corridor. It connects with Blackwell.
All right, commissioners, any other questions for Derek at this time? Cool. Ryan, on, obviously there were some comments. What type of bonding and stuff or licensing, is there any requirements? I know, I mean, within their own project, there's probably not any bonding, but when they're doing the street out there, are they required? Oh, Morgan, okay, Morgan. See, it's going, yeah, so.
They are required to have insurance and bonding. And then if the work is over, I believe it's $50,000 worth of public improvements, you have to have a state public works license also. And if we go into a cost sharing agreement with the applicant for the water main building, there's also additional items that we need to ensure that we have surety that it'll be built and accepted and completed.
Is that covered all within the development or is that on their dime? You don't have any requirements on,
So that mostly covers just the public improvements, so water and streets. I'm unsure of what the sewer district might require. I believe they require a state public works license
Just for that.
of their work.
So it's sort of the same as always, all those other ones then, right?
Yeah, I think, I would have to clarify with the sewer district on what they require, but for their own improvements, I know if they chose to submit a final plat before constructing all their roads, they would have to provide some kind of letter of credit or escrow for all of the improvements. That would be all of their internal roads also included in that. That would need to serve the subdivision. But yeah, anything that's covered under the public realm, we require bonding and insurance.
they didn't ask for any type of, I think it's back to Brian, there's no type of phasing on this that they're saying. They're just, here's the, they'll just come for, if it gets approved for various building permits for each. Pardon me?
They're planning on constructing all in one phase.
So they'll come for building permits for everything all at one shot. And we don't license or deal with a license with a contractor or the builder or anything at that point.
For building permits, they're required to have.
Okay. Is there a way to verify, does that go through John, or is there a way to verify it's in good standing and no issues, or just,
I believe John has a method.
that's all his thing to do, okay.
So I have another question for staff. And I, hate to revisit it, but we've had some conversations about it already, and I want to make sure I thoroughly understand before we make decisions. Physically, the buildings are set back from the road, a certain number of feet. Does this proposal have them set back off of the road at a distance that is typical for R8 zoning?
Lance Commissioner Kinzer. Trying to see if there's any exhibits. So look at the preliminary plat on page 404 of your meeting packet. It's a private street section. Good example of this. There's a 24-foot edge of curb right roadway, with asphalt and with a concrete curb and gutter. And then there's a 60-foot easement over the top of that, centered on that roadway. And then your building walls would effectively start very near that point. They vary a little bit throughout the development, but what you would typically see is on any public street, anything like that in an R8 zone would be the building walls starting 15 to 20 feet away from that edge of easement.
So an extra 30 feet added onto that,
Correct.
which would help things kind of seem a little less dense.
Definitely. And allow for more landscaping and things like that in the front yards. That is not where snow is going to be.
Okay. Thank you for this simple explanation.
Speaking of that, there is no landscaping plan now for, that would have to change quite a bit at this point, wouldn't it?
It wouldn't have changed terribly substantially. I don't believe they provided a landscape plan. I could be wrong. But the,
Would be in front of this single family units, probably more than anything.
yeah, it'd be a little more space adjacent to driveways along single family units. And then between and at the fringes of the multifamily.
Single family units, the ones in the last row to the left. Yeah, okay. This little landscape would be in front of those.
So. For example, this is the driveway on one of these units. This area over here would be available for snow storage and landscaping.
On each one of them all the way down.
Yeah.
Is this hill behind the house? Also, it kind of looks like it's shaded like.
Yes, there is a drainage swale,
On the left-hand side of the house.
but Morgan speak to specifics. I believe that is, yeah, to, one, water flowing downhill through the subdivision would get collected in that, but then also along the bike paths. Would also be.
But it can't be counted as snow storage for the development, correct?
No, they're not proposing.
What's the red line in the middle around that?
I just drew that in to show where the driveway is.
Okay.
This is the not driveway.
Are there restrictions on the, the type of landscaping and what you can do within the easement?
Those have not been identified in the CCRs that I recall.
I don't remember any other applications not having an elevation. Do you remember any that?
It is not an application requirement on preliminary plats or planned unit developments. It's not in the checklist of things that they must submit. It is fairly unusual to not have that in the planned unit development. Just because it's the nature of this.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions for Ryan, Morgan, the applicant, before we go to deliberation?
So, just on that little, if you reduce that, I just reduced it and saw development features. The average residential lot size is 3,400 square feet, according to their measurements on that chart, correct? So, well below 5,000.
It is also substantially weighted towards townhomes, which are almost lot size. So
We're back to density. For me. Now. That's discussion.
But the single family homes are over 5,000,
they are,
right?
some are above, some are below, but they're all very close.
Okay.
There's no specific restriction on that then? Some are above and some are below, but the kind of depends on what the design is.
Once you account for the common space and the right-of-way dedication as permitted in code, the average lot size for the entire subdivision as a whole is over 5,000 square.
Okay. Any other questions before we close the public comment or public hearing? Going once, going twice. Okay, I make a motion, we close the public hearing on PUD 2304 and subdivision 2303.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Aye.
Okay.
Bye.
All opposed? I missed Brian in there, but motion carries. All right, commissioners, discussion.
Well, for me, I'm still concerned about the density of the entire project. It really seems like there wasn't too much that has changed since earlier applications. We've reduced the number of, building units. And they've kind of changed the configuration between townhomes and single homes, detached homes and things. But, beyond that, the density seems very similar to what it was before. And I don't think we've changed much there.
I agree with Ryan. I think from the first look we had at this, we all agreed that it was trying to cram 6 acres of buildings into 5, and it still doesn't really work. As far as the density issue, as far as what the rest of the neighborhood looks like. And I guess I feel like the applicant has decided, well, we're not going to spend the money to give you drawings of what it actually is going to look like because we've already spent too much money. So it's part of the process and part of getting an approval.
Tony, your thoughts?
Well, the elevation drawings that we don't have, can't see.
Right.
It's kind of a factor for the whole thing. And if we know what that is, I don't know how we can make a decision on that, what the heights are going to be. It isn't like to me, it's complete. And with this particular project, it seems like we're at our fourth go on it, and it's still not complete. I don't have anything other than that to say that, sounds to me like there's more work needs to be done before I can make a decision on it. That's all I have.
Dana, your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with the consensus here. I think they're on the right track. It's just not quite complete yet. The density is still an issue. So I am happy that they came back with a new proposal, new idea, but I think there's still some work to be done.
Yeah, I feel that it's improving, but as you say, and densities there, I just have a hard time when we're talking about the densities much and not being able to see how some of those are actually going to look, especially the single family homes. I mean, you're going to have that, but is it something weird that we need to address if there's a weird roof line or there could be other issues involved that we're not able to see and address at this point. Not that there would be, but we have seen some other homes and stuff that do have some different ideas with roofs, and I just think we'd need to see that.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that comment. I think, this project is, big enough that we need to kind of thoroughly understand all aspects of it. And we wouldn't be doing our job if we were to recommend it to go forward without some of that information.
$39, I think. If you're looking at the book, I don't know about the staff report, but Dave, if you look at the book here, that's 30.
$39.
We go to page 98.
Thank you. I'm ready to make a motion, and I think that in reference to Bill's comment on the email that was received yesterday. And the lack of the developer's interest in getting this down to a number we're all comfortable with. I move to continue PUD 2304 and SUB 2303 to the September 10th, 2024 meeting. Direct staff to prepare findings of fact and conclusions of law documents recommending denial of the subject application for the reasons identified in the commission's deliberations.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Ryan, let's do.
Chairman Lyons, before we get into that, I just want to make sure the deliberation is thorough and complete. Is it the number of units? Is it the design, the overall design of the subdivision? What are the specific?
So can I
So yeah, real quick too, are you denial or continue it to them to bring back?
deny it? and
Okay,
just
okay.
be done. So
You make a motion to the, okay.
to deny to
Okay.
city council, yes.
Okay.
City, lack of elevations, lack of a landscape plan. Not sure how many more.
I think overall density, Brian, in the last few hearings we've had on this application, we've mentioned density was an issue and I haven't seen that change drastically.
So your primary concern would
I would-
be the
I would
density
like
of
to reduce the number of units.
is not suitable for the site.
Correct.
Okay. So with that, Brian, let's do a roll call vote.
Alrighty, Commissioner Petty,
Did I say yes?
Commissioner Kinzer,
Yes.
Commissioner Moss,
Yes.
Chairman Lyons,
Yes.
Commissioner Pop.
Yeah.
All right, motion carries. All right. We're gonna make sure I got the right page. Moving on to vacation of, make sure I got this right one here. Yeah. Vacation of 2401 and record of survey of 2405 at 1095 and 91 Swanee Way. And I make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Second,
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I
Okay, you're open. Do we have Dan here or Dan online? You'd like to come up and do a presentation of that? It seems-
2401.
Yeah.
I'm Dan Muir. We live in Lick Creek Meadows right now, just a quarter acre lot. And my wife and I purchased two lots next to each other for just a little more space for our family and
We get your address for the record.
where we live now.
Yeah.
1043 Potts Drive. So this is like kitty corner, I guess, to where we live. And so we own two lots. We're hoping to combine them for just a little more space for our family. And right now there's a drainage easement, which is the vacation, in between the two parcels. That the purpose through talking to staff, et cetera, was to aid in drainage between the lots to get it to the ditch in front. So one of the comments was to relocate the current drainage easement just to one side of the property instead of right in the middle if we were to combine them. So we can properly drain to the front. The ground out there is really flat grassland, if you've ever been out to the meadow over there. Yeah, so we plan to build a home that we'll move into. And I guess with that, are there any questions?
there's no home on either lot right now.
No.
Commissioners, any other questions for Dan? Pretty simple. Okay, thank you. Hey, Brian.
Alrighty,
Board.
Lyons, Frank Clark, City Planner. This is a public hearing for the vacation. Also record a survey to combine the two parcels. Pretty straightforward. They put these drainage easements along lot lines within subdivisions, pretty normal. Then when we get rid of that lot line in the middle, we're supposed to vacate the easements. Their main thing to figure out is where that water is gonna go now. That easement is no longer there. They can work with Morgan and figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Pretty sure we don't have any questions for Brian, but just in case, any questions for Brian? All right, Morgan, I think you have the biggest job on this one, so.
Oh, great. Hello. So I performed a review of this and we would, with the vacation of the drainage easement between the lot lines, we would like to see a drainage easement on either the northern property line or the southern borders, just a way to convey the stormwater. There's one along the back property line that exists currently. It is flat, so you do need like somewhere for it to go once you build a house, so that you don't flood yourself or your neighbors. And that's the proper way, is to get it to the right of way. So establishing a drainage easement just make sure that there's a spot for drainage to go whenever something gets built on the property. But yeah, that's most of my comments. There's a few other small details in there about labeling the right of way as Swaney Way. And then just some of our digital data submission standards that happen after they finalize this draft version of the record of survey.
So there was no easements already in place on the northern, between the top lot, I guess, and the neighboring lot? They didn't have anything in that within the subdivision? They just did it?
Yep, it's just between these two lot lines on this subdivision plat. So just making sure there's a spot for it to go.
But there was no other one in existence yet, it doesn't look like.
Yeah.
One up above, but okay,
It looks like it's a few more lots.
yeah,
Where Blue Haze Way tees into Swain.
yeah, okay.
Let's continue around the corner of Swanee Way.
Yeah. And I think those back up to Aspen Ridge 3. So there's several layers of lots that go below that or south of that. Any other questions for Morgan? All right, with that, we'll open up to public comment. Is there anybody online or on the phone that wishes to comment regarding this application? You may need to hit *6 if you're muted. Is there anybody else here in the audience that wishes to comment regarding this application? And last time, anybody else online or on the phone that wishes to comment? All right, with that, we'll close the public comment. There's no other questions for the applicant, I don't believe. Commissioners, any other questions for the applicant or staff before we close the public hearing? I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
second,
This item. Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
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 Right. All opposed? Hearing none. Public comment is closed. Commissioners, discussion. This seems pretty
well,
simple.
this is about straightforward as it gets.
Yeah. We need an elevation to look at. I've been on the lots. It's flat.
Oh,
Yeah, I think my only thing would be in the easement to make sure there whatever drainage, and Morgan's clearly on that one. That'd be a nice spot for a house with a nice bigger lot. Well, shoot, can't go back to staff, but they got it, so. Yeah. I'm fine.
I can answer procedural questions.
Was there a need to get anything from a association on this one, from their HOA?
I do not.
Yeah, and I wouldn't think there would be on that one anyway. So yeah, go ahead, Dave, take it away.
To recommend VAC 2401 to the McCall City Council as staff recommended conditions of approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the vacation 2401. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right.
I move to approve ROS 2405 with staff recommended conditions of approval.
Second.
A motion and second to approve the record of survey 2405. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, motion is approved. All right. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to subdivision 2403. McCall Arts and Humanity, or McCall Art and Commerce Center condominiums. I make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right. So we have David Armstrong here. There you are.
Luke Vanoy at McCall Design and Planning at 121 Commerce Street. I'm representing Dave and Donna Armstrong. They're the owner of McCall Art and Commerce Center, and that's at 115, 121, and 125 Commerce. So this is a proposal to create 11 condominium spaces within the existing McCall Art and Commerce Center business park. Project is existing at the corner of Dienhard Lane and Commerce Street. It currently houses a CrossFit gym, yoga studio, self-defense studio, artist studios, counseling center, an engineering firm, and our office. None of the existing uses or tenants will change with the proposed condominium. First phase of this project, 125 Commerce Street, consisted of this building and this building here. Those went in 2006, and then the second phase and the combination of this lot, 115 and 121, went in 2010. A lot of the tenants have been leasing their spaces since the project was originally built. Some of us approached the property owners about the possibility of splitting off our individual units so that we might have the opportunity to purchase them at some point. With the current construction costs and rising real estate values, it has become cost prohibitive for most small business owners to construct a new standalone structure in McCall. By creating condominiums out of these existing spaces, we can affordably own our own business space within city limits. The name McCall Design and Planning really wouldn't mean much if I have to move places to Donnelly. So, really the easiest thing for Dave and Donna to do here would be to sell the entire development to an out-of-town investor. They see the opportunity here to support small business in McCall by providing affordable business property to the existing tenants. Thanks, and I'm happy to stand for any questions.
I know you, go ahead.
The existing tenants have agreed to purchase their.
No, I believe there's only two of us at this point.
I know you've already got it in the HOA as far as maintenance, shared maintenance.
Yeah, there's a property
Landscape.
agreement drafted and submitted to the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so utilities would be continue to be paid by one entity, and that'd be the property owners association.
Okay, I was just gonna say they don't have individual hookups. It was all done as a.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's how many total, do you say?
It'd be 11.
And you sold two of them so far?
Well,
I currently am interested in purchasing my space, which would be A and B at 121, and I believe the tenant at 125 here is interested in purchasing the other day. But that's the extent of it to this point. Then the rest of the units would continue to be owned by Dave and Donna.
See.
But no tenants, will be leaving because of this. No use change.
Count 9.
This is a 2-story building, so there's two extra. There's 2 on the main floor or 2 on the upper floors. That's what they get to 11.
all right, commissioners, any other questions for Luke? Okay, thanks. Ryan, chapter.
Great, thank you, Chairman Lyons, Bright Park City Planner. Again, this is a fairly straightforward subdivision application. They're not proposing to build anything. They're just drawing lot lines between existing units within a building, within several buildings. As discussed, nothing's really changing on the ground as far as what is there now. It just gives the individual tenants an opportunity to purchase if they want to in the future. That'll stand for any questions.
With it already being in the commercial zone, there's no issues with there's no issues with the building as far as any kind of setbacks or anything, that nothing changes. The density is probably more than.
Original design included parking that backed out into the street. When we came through and redid Commerce Street a few years back, that got tweaked a little bit, so they are now backing into the parking lot and out. That was the one thing that I had noticed early on, but that has been remedied.
Okay. Everything else is good in the zone. Yeah. Commissioners, any other questions for Ryan?
Where's exactly is the location of this? Is it right across from the Jiffy Lube?
So if you're going down Hard towards the middle school, West Schwab, then there's Commerce Street, and then it's next.
It's the next lot, just past Commerce Street.
There's a vacant lot there on the corner of Commerce and Hard.
Okay.
All right, Morgan.
Hello, Commissioners. So I have similar comments as the previous application. Just a few comments, clean it up, and then they'll have to follow our digital data submission standards to finalize the plat. And then just some clarification on the common area and what's allowed in that area, like utilities, drainage, ingress, egress, all those types of uses. Just clarifying that. On the water infrastructure side, each lot should have its own water meter, but we've talked through this and there's currently 3 meters on the property, 1 for each building, and we're working through to ensure that the sizing is proper for each one of those. And then I attached a previous stormwater report that was approved with the previous project in 2009. And there was a retainage detention area and a stormwater conveyance on the north side of the property. It looks like that might not exist anymore. So making sure that is still compliant is one of my main comments there. So I attached all of those details to my review of the project. And that's a wrap on my comments of high view.
Commissioners, any questions for Morgan? All right, we'll move to the public comment. Is there anybody online or on the phone that wishes to comment regarding this application? Again, you may need to hit *6 if you're muted. Is there anybody here in the audience that wishes to comment? Yeah.
Ann McQuaid at 14042 Deerfield Road, call. And I just had the question in that if this was the arts and kind of community property development originally, is all of that going away and these are just going to turn into townhomes, condominiums?
We can't answer a question, it's just a comment. The developer will come back and respond. So go ahead and mention, you can say whatever your questions, it just won't be responded to right now.
Okay, so I guess I'm asking, it seemed like there was an original plan for community arts and crafts, whatever, yoga, etc. And now that may go away. And McCall has lots and lots of issues for growth. And I would like to still see that there was the Community Arts and Crafts Center. And that would be my question. Is this turning into just more housing? Because that is a dense area and you can tell it's building. And that was my question.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience that wish to comment regarding this application? Last call for anybody online or on the phone that wishes to comment regarding this application. Okay. Luke, do you want to respond?
So the property is currently zoned industrial. Residential uses are not allowed. There are no residential uses and there are no residential uses proposed. The existing uses will remain exactly the same. The ownership of the individual spaces will change. So they are currently businesses. It's currently a business park. The project was approved as a business park, and it will continue to be a business park with the current tenants in place.
Luke, Article 4, use of units. It says that you could change the use of a unit by a majority vote of the board. So I'm going to edit that.
Any change in use will have to be approved by your governing body here. So right now, that's not a permitted use.
Chairman Lyons, Commissioner Petty, residential uses in industrial zones are permitted as part of a mixed use development. So a portion of this could hypothetically become residential. That is not what is proposed tonight. No change in use is proposed. These are intended to remain in their current mix of various commercial or industrial.
But there's no limit on the commercial type of use, whether it's an office building or.
All of the
Yeah,
permitted uses in the industrial.
Yes.
Is it like percentage of mixed use or is it? How does that work? If it was going that direction.
Yeah, there are regulations as to the location of the residential unit.
Yeah, I think they'd have to come back in front of us for any residential. Yeah. But just the commercial type business could change.
Okay.
But I would think with more people being able to potentially buy their unit, it secures that type of business to remain there for
Yeah.
a longer term, and I guess. So. Okay, anything else? Yeah, I think that was about it. All right, any other questions for staff or the applicant before we close the public hearing? All right, I make a motion, we close the public hearing on this item.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, all opposed? Hearing none. All right, public hearing is closed. Commissioners. Any comments? I mean, this one seems, again, pretty clear, and say, I think it gives a better chance of somebody to secure a location for their business who's already there.
It's a good idea, I think.
I think all of them have been there for
Yeah.
extended period of time, not all, most of them. Not really changing any use, it's just condoizing.
Pretty simple and
Yeah.
straightforward. I don't have any comment on it.
Yep, agree, no concerns from me.
Yeah.
I
Saying
move to
anything?
approve,
Go ahead, Ryan, I'm sorry.
I move to approve SUB 2403 with staff recommended conditions of approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Okay, thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to design review 2414, shoreline 2408, 502 Garnet Street. I make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to open the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Ryan, real quick question before we go to, again, notice this is showing a shoreline and it seems to be quite a ways away from the shoreline. How,
It is,
is it within just enough?
within that higher.
Oh. Okay, I looked at it like, ooh, all right, sorry. Just wanted to double check on that. Man, that's close.
My name is LeBron Bennett. I reside at 1610 Water Avenue in McCall. I'm representing Terry Pape for design review 2414 and shoreline review 2408, located at 502 Garnet Street. These applications are required as the property is within 150 feet of the ordinary high water mark of Payette Lake. The proposed project is to construct additions to an existing single-family residence. The existing residence is 1,529 square feet, and the proposal is to add 399 square feet main level, 84 additional square feet of covered deck to the main level, and 399 square feet of upper level living space. And to add additional a shed dormer roof to over existing living space. Yeah. I'd like to go through the and view that previous drawing, please. The project is located at 502 Garnet Street, so it's just off of, it's a second tier lot up above Payette Lake. Can we go to the site plan, please, SP1? The existing orientation of the lot is on Garnet Street, which is an east to west minor private street, city of McCall. There's an existing residence, existing decks, and there's an existing covered porch and an existing entryway, of which we're replacing part of the entryway and the existing covered deck with our additions. We can go to the next drawing, which would be the landscaping plan. It's the lot coverage is of concern with this property, and so we're having to displace some existing elements such as an existing deck, an existing patio area. There's an existing deck area, an existing patio area that we are planning on displacing, but then replanting with grass and providing trees adjacent to our southern addition. We can go to SP3, please. Lighting is being proposed as being some surface mount fixtures, and then any covered areas will have recessed downlights in conformance with the McCall City Code 3.14.05. We go to SP4, please. The existing utilities are electrical and phone are from a power pole on the southwestern corner of the property. And then the existing water runs to a meter out in Garnet Street. And to the best of my knowledge, the existing sewer runs out to a manhole as well. We're displacing an existing kitchen sink. Can we go to A1.1, please? So we are displacing an existing sink in an existing kitchen with our new kitchen. And then can we go to A1. We are not proposing to do any additional fixture modifications in the upper level. Can we go back to A1.1, please? We are displacing the existing tub and expanding the existing shower, but for some reason, and staff will get to this, there is some conditions of the approval for upsizing the existing water service, but we'll discuss that when we talk to Morgan, correct? So can we go to, I think it's SP up 2 pages. Okay, down 1, please. So this is just basically explaining where we are planning on providing best management practices in the event that there's a rainstorm or anything such as that, to contain any materials that are stored on site. We have our concrete washout location here. We're going to be putting in either a silt fence or straw wattles on the property line and in between Payette Lake and the adjacent property to the west and to Garnet Street on the north, or the demolition of the existing deck out here. So the next page would be the site photos. This is the existing residence. This is a photograph to the south of the front of the residence, of which we're not doing anything. This is a photo from the northeast looking towards the southeast. We will be providing a dormer over this existing area here. And our additions are to the south. This is a photo to the south of the building. We're displacing or removing this existing covered porch and this portion of the existing covered walk. And this is where our new addition will be going. So can we go to 1.1? This is the existing building footprint, and our addition is essentially to the south of the building. So a kitchen and a covered deck on the main level, and then on the upper level, 2 bedrooms and a low attic storage place. So can we go to a 1.4? I think would be a 1.5, please. So this is our existing structure. We are adding this dormer over an existing low loft area. This existing garage, existing connector. When we move to the south of the building, this is our addition here that we are proposing. We go to a 1.6. This is where the existing covered deck is and the existing covered entry, and this is our proposed addition. So we're matching existing roof lines. We're not adding any additional height to the building. We are proposing to match existing fascia, roofing, siding materials. And then if we can go back to S 1.1, please. So we are at 99.9% of allowable lot coverage, and that is with the removal of the existing patio area and a removal of an existing deck. We do conform to rear yard and side yard setbacks, and we are well within the setbacks as far as our height limitations go. Questions?
Unless it was changed on the side yard. Setback is 5'2". Is that still in play, or did something get modified on one of them, Brian? Side yard setback 2?
No, we have a side yard setback of 10 feet on each side.
There are several encroachments of existing building that are in the setbacks.
Okay.
They are proposing to reduce a lot of that. Some of it is still allowed to remain. That is permissible by our non-conforming structure code. Nothing that is new that is proposed is in setbacks.
Okay.
And that includes the 1710 also one?
Yes.
Height number 2,
Yeah.
same answer. Okay.
Right, any other questions for, again? Okay, thank you. All right, Ryan.
Great. Different lines, Brian Park, city planner. This one is a design review and just barely shoreline review. It is a upland lot. It's not, doesn't actually have any shoreline frontage, but it is within the shoreline overlay zone. As discussed, they are proposing to remove a lot of existing non-conforming deck that encroaches out into setbacks, both the front and the rear yard, and then do some additions to the building that are all within setbacks. And generally, the building already meets our design standards, lots of glass, gable roof, metal roof, wood siding. I'll stand for any questions.
No snow storage is identified, but there is.
There's plenty of them. They do identify it, they don't want.
Any other questions for Brian? Right, Morgan.
Hello, commissioners. I didn't have many comments on this. Most of the comments were regarding the water service and infrastructure. So in I think 2021 or 2022, the city started implementing these water fixture sizing worksheets, which are based off of the Idaho code, and it's kind of an easier way just to kind of see what size your meter needs to be to adequately serve what your house needs. And with the most recent update, because we have so many houses that have long service lines or they're up really high compared to the main, we added the addition of table 610.4, which is a more in-depth breakdown of lengths, service line lengths and pressures, and what that does for each meter and building supply combination and how many fixture units are available. Sorry, I have a lot of information. So with this project, they don't need to upsize their meter. However, we just wanted to verify what size the service line is from the house to the meter. To get the full use of the 3/4 inch meter, an 1.25 inch service line needs to be used so they can get the most fixture units out of the meter. When you have a smaller service line size, it reduces the amount of fixture units you can have because it drops the availability due to pressures and head loss and all sorts of other things that go into that calculation. So that is the main comments there. And also you might see this comment come up more as we work through this with our lead and copper inventory and the lead and copper ruling. We need to document all of the service lines on the private and the public side. So having them identify what their existing service line is helps us and helps them. And if it's a non-compliant service line, they should just plan on replacing it now, since it'll be a requirement coming forth by the EPA. And the other comment in here regarding water is just verifying that the existing meter pit complies with current regulatory standards. And if it doesn't, it just needs to be upsized. So like backflow preventers, proper setters, everything that makes the water system safe and compliant with all of our rule makers. And they did submit stormwater materials and I didn't have any comments on this. So let me know if you have any questions.
Any fixtures?
So there is an addition. We are requiring the water fixture unit worksheet as the DOPL, and the plumbing code require any modifications to the water. So if you're adding irrigation fixtures, anything of that sort, you need to be adequately sized in your meter for proper sizing. So with all of these applications, I look at water sizing, and similar to the building permits side of things, Sabrina Sims, the water system manager, looks at water meter sizing for all of those additions and new builds.
When you say fixtures, you mean a sink,
Yep,
toilet, any of those,
exactly.
all in the same category? Okay.
Anything that has water.
Okay.
Well, anything that's categorized in the 2015 building code, plumbing code.
So a bathtub is different than a sink then, and
Yep, they have different fixture counts. And then also depending on the fill valve, some tubs and sinks and showers have more fixtures to them than.
So I didn't really necessarily hear there's an additional fixture, but you're concerned about the feed line size.
So yeah, based off of what they've submitted, I believe he mentioned that they were moving some fixtures and adding maybe a sink or so. That requires just verifying that everything is code compliant.
And identifying if the lead feed is pretty simple on one end or the other.
Yep. And the city can help with that also. We have been doing lead and copper inventory inspections for homeowners when they request it. So
All right, any other questions? Oh, sorry. Any other questions for, oh, go ahead.
So is all that in your condition? Final engineering?
Yes, that all go.
Any other questions for Brian or Morgan at this time? All right, with that, we'll go to public comment. Is there anybody online or on the phone that wishes to comment regarding this application? Again, you may need to hit *6 to unmute yourself. Anybody here in the audience that wish to comment regarding this application? Last call for anybody online or on the phone that wishes to comment on this application. All right, hearing none, we'll close the public comment. Again, was there anything more you wanted to say regarding anything, any comments you want to address anything? I mean, it doesn't sound like there was anything more, but
I think an additional condition of approval was to provide on the site plan that there is 1 square foot of snow storage for every 3 square foot of driveway, correct?
Yes.
So we acknowledge that, but that's a condition of approval and prior to issuance of a building permit, correct?
Yes.
All right, commissioners, any other questions for Ryan Morgan or the applicant before we close the public hearing on this item? All right, I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion and a second to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Hearing none. Okay, public hearing is closed. Commissioners, discussion. It doesn't seem like anything real major.
The fact that Ellie's dealt with our code compliance issues more than once, remove some deck to be able to do the other stuff. So appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Morgan will keep him in line with everything in engineering. So, yeah, I think it's pretty good.
I move to
Is it-
approve DR 2414 shoreline SH 2408 with staff recommended conditions of approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, thanks. Okay, move down to design review 2415, 400 Dinehart. I make a motion, we open the public hearing for this item.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? All right, hearing none, we open the public hearing. So we have Glenn Walker is up there already.
Actually, Jason Moore,
Okay, oh,
General Manager of Builder First Source here in McCall. I live over here at 1001 North Mission Street, corner of Park and Mission. And the property in question is our lumberyard here at 400 Dinehart. I'm here with Ashley Dirks from Ford Building Solution, who's our general contractor for the project, and Glenn Walker from ADP Architects. So what we've got going on is we currently have 3 existing older dilapidated buildings that are approximately 7,600 square foot under roof. And what our intention is to replace those 3 buildings with 1 larger 5,400 square foot building. So we're actually going to reduce the total square footage of the site by about 30%. And then we're also going to add an additional stormwater solution. There isn't one currently there. We worked with a local engineering company, Crestline, to get that done and submit it to the city. Essentially, we have 3 buildings here. We refer to them as E, and F. And they're just older, fallen apart buildings that haven't been cared for well over the years. We are going to leave in the very backside of D shed, which is in the gravel area of our yard. And the primary reason for leaving it in is it's in pretty good shape. It's got a foundation under it, where the rest of the buildings really have like a strip footing foundation every 20 feet. And that's part of the other issue right now, that all the buildings are less than a 20-foot width bay. And so they're not very usable. They're a little bit shorter. And so what we're doing is we're going to replace them with a 30 by 180-foot building, and all the bays are 30 by 30. All the bays are gonna have 20-foot access inside, which is shorter or equal height of the existing building, so we're not adding any great heights or anything like that. We're gonna be trenching in electrical from this building over here and putting in a little subfeed. Just gonna be minimal lighting. It's gonna be mostly internal lighting. No real lighting outside that's gonna disturb the environment or anything. It is a pre-engineered metal building, so it's pre-engineered, meets all the city codes and whatnot. And then the stormwater solution plan, we worked with the city on that with Crestline. Kind of an ongoing project. We've been trying to do this for about 2 years now, but just really never got along in the process until this year, where it became apparent that we really need to start replacing some of those older buildings. So in terms of traffic goes, right now our semis currently come in off of Dinehard here, and they have to come through here and make this very tight turn. And so it can be very difficult at times. So this alleviates a huge problem with that as well, where this building's now going to be gone all the way to here. So the semi traffic can freely go in there, come in right here from Dinehard, go through this, and then leave on the other side Dinehard. And then we also do have a secondary exit on Commerce Street back there. Don't use that one very much. In fact, in the wintertime, that's our primary snow storage back there off of Commerce. So that pretty much gets locked up for snow storage most of the year. And then you can see the picture of the actual elevation of the building. See what it's going to look like. There it is right there. So it's going to conform with all the colors of the building that's currently around it. It's kind of a nice tan color with some brown. And you can see here, it's going to have we're going to enclose this end of it, just mostly for some dry storage. It's going to be insulated on the roof only for condensation purposes and whatnot. And then eventually you'll see that there's going to be some racking and stuff inside of it. And then the nice thing about this new building is you can see the old building here had a pretty steep roof pitch, and people were accessing both sides of it. And we tend to have a lot of snow sloughing off the building. It was kind of dangerous at different times of the year. So this building back here that we are going to keep, we're going to cleat the roof on that. And then the new building has a light pitch going back to the back of it. And so most of the snow will stay up there throughout the year. And then as it melts, it'll go into the swell. We also, not shown in this picture, have a slight grade that goes downhill. So there is a drainage plan to run that water back here and come around the corner of the building towards that swell back there.
Commissioners, any questions for Jason? Okay, great, thank you. Ryan, staff report.
City planner. This is the application for construction in a commercial zone. It is a metal lumberyard storage shed. It generally does not meet the design standards for commercial zone construction. It includes blank walls, very little articulation of the building, so on and so on. However, it is in the back corner of a lot, substantially improves the current situation of dilapidated wood buildings. Backs up to other storage units that are already in place, and will generally not be visible to the general public unless they're picking up some lumber. So I defer to you all on the applicability of the design standards and how much we can expect a lumber storage shed to comply with.
Show what it looks now. There's a couple, yeah, there's a couple of pictures out that shows now. Or other.
There we are.
Yeah. So,
And if we back up to the other lumber storage.
I think that's part of its airport storage, I believe, isn't it? And they have that other ground.
There's a little bit of storage back off of behind the hotels there.
Yeah, airport storage. Yeah, on that end of it, they have the bigger ones where they pull in the various motorhomes and trailers and stuff. So it's kind of open air storage, very similar to that building technically. I mean, it's sort of the open air part of it.
And it's right behind where ProGlow is right now, going south, right?
Kind of
South,
southeast,
south,
southeast.
The southeast corner.
southeast part. Well, it kind of cleans the area up a little bit, it looks like, and
Yeah.
Not being viewed by the general public very much. That does change the design rules, I would think.
I think a little bit extra safety there too, because I've seen the trucks go back in there and it is,
Yeah.
when there's other private vehicles in there, it gets a little tight.
Definitely site circulation entry.
Yeah, and the drainage improvements as well. So that's a big plus. So. All right, any other questions for Brian before we go to Morgan? All right, Morgan.
Commissioners, I don't have too many comments on this one. I reviewed the stormwater report and I had just a few items that I needed some clarification on before approving the report. But overall, it looks like it's going to meet our drainage management guidelines, what is proposed. I just need to verify a few elevations of the proposed pond and identify where the overflow for the basin is located. And then I had some few minor red lines on the stormwater report that I've sent to the applicant and the engineer. So this should be pretty simple to address. Yeah. Let me know if you have any questions.
Commissioners, any questions for Morgan? All right, we'll go to the public comment. Is there anybody online or on the phone that wishes to comment regarding this application? You need to hit *6 if you're muted. Anybody here in the audience that wish to comment regarding this application? Okay, one last time, anybody online or on the phone that wishes to comment? Hearing none, we'll close the public comment. Commissioners, any other questions for the applicant or the staff before we go to deliberations?
I don't have any.
All right, I make a motion. I make a motion, we close the public hearing on design review 2415.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none. All right. Public hearing is closed on this item. Commissioners, looks pretty standard. I think there's a lot more improvements with the new building. Cleaned it up, better circulation. Sounds like they get the drainage. Also some safety factors with those old buildings and snow coming off the roofs. So, and
Or the building's collapsing completely.
well, not yet, but it's there. The snow's shedding off them, and so it's
Yeah.
a bit of danger there. And it makes sense to have the wider doorways. Previous life, I worked at a lumber yard for years, so I know exactly what they're doing. I'd much rather have those buildings than the one I dealt with.
I'm not gonna challenge you then.
Oh, I had to fill them up by hand. But no, I think it's good.
Footprint.
Yeah,
It does.
So, yeah.
yeah. So I don't see really any issues. I think it's a good improvement.
I agree. No concerns.
I'll make a motion. We approve design review 2415 with staff recommendation of approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. All right, we're down to design review 2419 to be determined Elo Road. The public hearing, I make a motion, we open the public hearing.
Second.
A motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing is open. All right, do we have, is it Zach or Savannah Callister? Oh, Zach.
Zach Chrysler, 64 West St. Peter Court, Star. To proposing a single family home on it. It's roughly about 6,000 square feet of living space, and it's got the garage. I walked the lot about a month and a half ago with Kurt, city tree guy. Only taking down a few on where the building are. I want to keep as many trees as I possibly can. We're gonna curve our driveway around, put down any trees in the driveway. Kurt was very happy that. I want to keep it natural. I want to keep the screening between my neighbors and from either live. So only taking 11 trees and I'm keeping everything else. The house is full wood side. We'll have some natural stone on the outside. The driveway is a little over 100 feet long, 150 feet long, so it's designed for fire access. I'm going to turn around, boy. It's all septic and that well. We had a small issue with a section of the home was a little bit over that 35-foot mark. I have resolved that. I'll have that emailed to Meredith in the morning. Brief fix, and then we did a stormwater report on this as well. We submitted that to Morgan. She's had a couple minor red lines on that, and we'll have that over. My engineer and architect are working on that. We'll have that over this week. Other than that, that's really much else. Do you guys got any questions?
Commissioners, any questions for Zach?
Is it a turret on the right-hand side?
Yeah, so when you walk into your entry, it has a tall 20-foot ceiling, and then I have some floating beams and hang down a chandelier from.
Fire watchtower.
Yeah.
Up there.
That one of the conditions?
Yeah.
So the difference between the 9,000 square feet and 6,000 is.
They're just, it's over 9,000 overall if you count the garage and all the covered patios and whatnot, just over 6,000 of just the living condition space.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, Brian.
All right, thank you. Planner, design review for a single family residence over 5,000 square feet. As discussed, it's about 6,000 square feet of living space and then a large garage and then covered decks and all that. It sums up to a little over 9,000 square feet, which is a big house, but they do a good job. They have a bunch of different roof lines, varying, and use multiple stories. It's sited up and away from Elo Road pretty substantially. They're siting it to retain a lot of trees, so it should blend in fairly well with the surroundings, considering how large it is. Yeah, as discussed, there was one misunderstanding on the measurement of the building height being based on the more restrictive of finished floor or pre-existing grade. Talking with the applicant on that, they're aware of it. Sounds like it's getting that I will stand for any questions.
Is it comp roof? It's comp roof, isn't it?
Yeah.
Back to that one that was on there before, Brian. That one area right there, are those windows at the bottom of that, just above the door and the,
Here?
yeah, go farther to you, to the left. Yeah.
This?
Oh, it looked like a pretty much a blank wall with no windows on it, but maybe those are.
These are windows. The little gray squares are all windows.
There, right there. That's the one I was talking about. Where the windows and the door, and then those are windows between the doors, and then above, are those windows up there too? Yeah.
These are windows right here. This right above the door is a small metal shed roof.
No, but how about are those windows and doors over there to the left? Yeah, right there on that side.
Yes, so there's a window next to the door and then got mirrors opposite. And there's two small windows.
But right above the door, if you go up towards the roof, those little black areas, those aren't windows there, are they?
This is a metal truss system on exposed,
Well, I want you to go down,
covered.
go down a little bit.
You just think of that wall from
This wall.
the top of the roof.
Goes on this wall in the second story.
Yeah. That truss system is coming out, so that roof line is extended out a little bit, so it's gonna show some depth to it. Just can't see it from there, but
See.
any other questions for Brian before we go to Morgan? All right, Morgan.
Hello, Commissioners. So pretty simple on this review also. The stormwater items seem like they will meet the requirements of our drainage management guidelines. I had a few minor red lines for them to address and some clarifications on a few areas of where the drainage basins are located. But it's pretty simple overall. There's a large lot out in the county, so no water to be concerned with. Just stormwater on my end. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions.
And pretty sure I know the answer to this, but with the various valleys and stuff, there is no current code on having the whole roof done in snow and ice shield, is there? It's just the valleys and the eaves.
As far as,
Snow and ice shield that goes underneath the shingles.
I do not know enough of the building code to give you a confident answer on that.
Well, I would hope the applicant would use snow and ice shield over your whole roof because it'll avoid potential problems other than just valley and the eaves.
I'm a builder up here. All houses get ice and water shields code on the whole roof.
The whole roof, okay. You know, in the past used to be valleys and eaves. They're good, glad they got it all over. So that'll avoid some problems.
Yeah, there are a lot of valleys on there.
Yeah. So, any other questions for Morgan before we go to public comment? Fine, I should.
No.
All right, with that, we'll open the public comment. Is there anybody online? Basically what I'm seeing there, online or on the phone that wishes to comment? Are we sure Meredith is here? Haven't heard from her all night.
I'm here.
Oh, she is. Okay, just testing. Anybody here in the audience wish to comment regarding this application? Yes. He got you first. Right there.
Just right back, 801 Ninth Road. My property is right adjacent to this development proposal. And I had a couple concerns with it. One talks about the layout and the tree guy came out there. I understand that. One thing that you guys need to be made aware of is the previous property owner that bought this and didn't develop it. He went in there and slashed out a bunch of trees over in that area. So now he's looking to take out more trees. And if you know the Timber Ridge area, it's very wooded. So it's actually gonna take out quite a few trees when he's done. I look out my window, I see the red marks. Okay. And he says he's gonna be, nice to the neighbors. Well, my kitchen window is right here. My neighbor's window is right there. That's not very nice to the neighbors. You're talking about a neighborhood that is roughly on the average of 2,000 square feet per home. And then you're coming in with this monstrosity and packing in there. Now you get it away from Elo. Well, who cares about Elo? People doing 35 miles an hour on Elo. You're driving right on by. But what about the neighborhood? The neighborhood is really Knights Road. It touches Elo and Knights Road comes into it. That's the neighborhood. So what concerning about the neighbors, it's not concerning about them at all. I'm going to be looking out my kitchen window to that wall that you were talking about that doesn't have the windows. That's what I'm going to see now, 60 feet away from me. Every day I wake up. Right now I got beautiful trees and, I don't understand a 9,000 square foot build coming into this neighborhood. Are they owner occupied? Or are we selling it? Are we just building it to sell? We're looking for Airbnb, like McCall doesn't have enough of them already. You know, I've got quite a few concerns about that as a neighbor. I understand none of it falls under the legal codes and everything, but there's still personal concerns from the entire neighborhood. I just hope you take that to mind.
Okay, thank you.
And Ann McQuaid at 14042 Deerfield Road, McCall. And I very much was kind of the same question as, where is this? Because I drive Elo Road all the time to get into McCall. And this is a mega mansion, as I call them. And it doesn't fit into the community. And I have felt badly for other homes that I've seen that we've been here a long time. And you get these mega mansions coming in and views are destroyed, and it's only an acre. That seems for this size home, a very small lot. And there's probably other places this lovely mega mansion could be built. And that was my question, was where was it going to be built? But now that was answered. But I'm in agreement that to now look at your wall that wasn't very pretty is real sad in this community, is why you've come to live here. That's my comment.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here in the audience wish to comment? Okay, yes.
My name's Paula Tucker and I live at 798 Knights Road, so I'm the other neighbor. And so I have a few concerns. I'll just kind of bullet point this. On our property, we have installed like multiple hydrants in case of fire, and because well, for other reasons, but anyways, we do have our own wells, and I think it's important to address the fact that there's more fire potential and we're so close to each other. If this home was built, being able to take care of our property. Also the impact of the well and its size with neighboring properties and their wells and how it all relates. I don't know, it's a concern. I'm also concerned about, let's see. I think everything else was addressed already by everyone. Just wanted to make sure the house wasn't going to be leased or marketed in any way. That was a concern. Because there was a title on the home and it was retreat was part of the title. And so I was just curious about that. And also currently there's garbage on the property that's been strewn about. We have a male bear that comes through our neighborhood regularly in the fall particularly. So we just need to ask that would be taken care of, and so we don't have a bear problem that increases in our neighborhood. And I guess that's it. Thank you.
Anybody else here in the audience wish to comment? Yeah, one last time, anybody on the phone or online that wish to comment regarding this application? All right, with that, we will close the public comment. Zach, would you like to respond to any of the questions that I mentioned?
A couple of things on that wall that's kind of no windows on it. This could be a movie room. So I didn't put any windows on that wall. If you go to the back elevation, we'll have this gable will come out about 2 feet. I'll have a big truss with this steel kind of accent on that portion. And then the way it's actually laid on the lot actually will kind of face more Knights Road, I believe. But again, with the trees, I've always tried to be as respectful as I can to the neighbors until they get, having a house come in next to you. Sometimes not the most funnest experience, but I think it was about 5, 6 trees is what I'm taking down only for the building envelope. And I plan on not taking down any of the brush or the trees, and trying to keep as much privacy as I can between this house and the neighbors. I'm trying to do the best I can on that. And then the house, it's kind of more positioned in the back corner of the lot because it's kind of the least graded portion of the lot. And the front portion is really has a little more grade to it. That's kind of where we positioned the home. Any other questions?
Commissioners, any questions for Zach?
Acre? 2 acres.
Commissioners, any other questions for Zach? Okay, thank you. Commissioners, any other questions for Brian or Morgan before we go to?
Ryan, can you pull up? We have Google Map pictures that I can't expand, so I was curious where Knights Road is in relation.
Yeah, Knights kind of comes in behind it. I'll show it on there.
So, right here is a big property. Knights Road is, it ends in just a little corner of it, but mostly on the lot next.
So, okay, doesn't come out the. This will be back in that corner, right?
What? Something along those lines. Obviously not where, but
Yeah. Yep.
Clearly, everything as it sets is within required setbacks. There was no issues with that. We had lots of room for snow storage and everything, but for the building height was corrected. There's
his condition is to be.
or condition to be corrected, wherever he sent, yeah. Commissioners, any other questions for Brian or Morgan or the applicant before we close the public hearing?
No.
All right, I'll make a motion. We close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right, public hearing is closed on this item. Commissioners, discussions.
Yeah, I don't necessarily see any major sticky points with this. It meets all the dimensional standards and kind of conditions that, it would meet the height. I certainly understand the neighbors' kind of concerns and their, backyard changing, but at the same time, I don't see a real reason to, say no to this application.
Yeah, I mean, it fits within the setbacks, he's trying to keep the trees. Hopefully he'll get some more brush in there, but it's pretty heavily wooded.
It does look like the majority of the trees are being kept, except for the few that have to be removed. So, I think that's a good step.
Round circles there,
Yeah.
red circles, yeah, okay.
Just the blue ones, the red ones stay.
Yeah. Where's the
Some
blue?
additional planning
Where's the blue ones are?
I just
and the house footprint.
Oh, I see, okay.
And hard to avoid that. And
Yeah.
a couple other ones there.
Couple of blue ones outside here too. Is that a carport? No, it's not a carport.
It's
It's a
probably,
patio.
That's the septic drain.
I was just gonna say, I'm guessing that's a septic.
Well, it wasn't even close. Those trees should grow real well then.
All right. Any other discussion? I'm open for a motion.
I move to approve DR 2419 with the staff recommended conditions of approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve DR 24-19. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Hearing none, application's been approved. Thank you. All right. Okay, moving on to other, and I guess we have a few signs.
You have one sign. Well,
One.
a couple of signs in one location. For the new location for the Vibrant Med Spa, this is the second and third tenant space for the newly renovated Mud Creek building. The building itself still has quite a bit of signage square footage area. If anyone wishes to do some more signage, but now with Vibrant and the barber shop in there, it is fully occupied in the commercial space. And if the upstairs is not fully rented out apartment wise yet, it probably will be soon. And it's really, really nice to see that corner woken back up after so long in sleepy mode. It's all compliant, no new lighting. I indicated that they needed to scrap the sandwich board that's been sneaking around on the sidewalk recently. And hopefully they don't continue to put that outside or I will get grumpy.
Definitely
The
nice
end.
to see that thing alive again.
Any other questions? That's all I got.
Keep the list short to 21st like this, yes.
Yeah, and as a reminder, we do have a second meeting in August. So it's gonna be the 21st, which I think is a Wednesday.
Tis.
This meeting will be a Wednesday on the 21st.
And Brian, did you mention the phishing scam yet? Just as a notice to the people of the world?
Somebody out in the universe has figured out how to find some planning and zoning application file numbers and descriptions and has started sending out $6,700 invoices with a wiring number from a bank in Colorado.
And so. You're kidding me.
So
You're not.
Weird phone calls about mysterious invoices. Direct them to me.
Okay.
All right.
Or put in our own bank account.
Yeah, giving them a better routing.
Yeah. Okay, with that, I think that covers everything. Tony?
I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting at 6:50.
Close enough.
No. Need a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Yeah.
You're here for anything in particular?
Listen.